flotilla is insanity. It shouldn't exist. It is absolute madness that everyday civilians who have, for the most part, no training in making a 3,000-kilometer journey across the Mediterranean, in delivering aid, in coming across a superpower that are armed to the teeth.
This is the story of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Hi, I'm Tamara, and I'll be walking you through the historic event of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Our story begins at the end of September on a hot day, with me looking at my phone. Suddenly I saw something that stopped my scroll. 50-boat flotilla. And I saw the word Gaza, and I thought, what is this?
Global Sumud, a humanitarian mission, turned into a global kidnapping. The Global Sumud Flotilla set sail from Europe with nearly 50 vessels and roughly 500 activists from over 40 countries, doctors, MPs, lawyers, and public figures, aiming to break Israel's blockade and deliver aid to Gaza.
Gaza as part of the Global Sumud Flotilla, but some of these boats have very different roles. This is the view from the Summertime Jong, one of two observer boats providing legal support to the flotilla. What does that mean, you may ask?
We will be following the rest of the fleet, monitoring for any human rights violations, documenting those, recording those, taking testimonies if needed, so that it can be used in any sort of like court cases if any violations happen.
CNN journalist who wanted to go to document this, whose editors, or whose higher ups said, no, you can't go. We haven't seen Western journalists for the most part on these kinds of efforts, but we have seen actually a drop site editor was on the latest flotilla, which also, by the way, I would encourage you, there's a very conspicuous, clearly I built the database, but I really would encourage you to look at the coverage of the latest flotilla.
Well, that explained it. If our journalists weren't over there, how could they report the news? Luckily for us, we have Wi-Fi and internet access, so I was able to see that at that very moment, the flotilla was coming up on a very critical part in its mission.
As the flotilla approached the high-risk zone 70 to 150 nautical miles off Gaza, organizers reported harassment, drone activity, signal jamming, and naval ships circling lead vessels.
An interdiction at sea, you need a legal basis. Ordinarily, in peacetime, sailing under the flag of a nation state guarantees you the right of freedom of navigation on the high seas. So you need to find an exception. One of those exceptions is the law of armed conflict. In an international armed conflict, a state at war, a belligerent state, has a right to blockade enemy territory, and that right in principle includes the ability to control what aid goes into that territory. The question becomes whether Israel's blockade is lawful. And for me, the thing that would make that blockade unlawful is that we have evidence that the blockade is part of a campaign of starvation against the civilian population, which would be a war crime. So obviously a war crime is unlawful, and therefore the blockade becomes unlawful. If you're in your own territorial sea and a vessel is not engaged in innocent passage, you have a right to arrest it. But here, this is not Israel's territorial sea. This is the territorial sea of the now widely, if not universally recognized state of Palestine. Israel has claimed a right to administer and control that territorial sea under the Oslo Accords of the 1990s. But again, the legal basis there is questionable, right? If your right to administer that territorial sea is a product of the Oslo Accords, then you have to start asking, have the rest of the Oslo Accords been complied with, including the process towards a final status settlement and a two-state solution?
How do people end up ignorant of something like this? Well, take Nazi Germany, for example. You see, there's this little thing called the news, super popular, widely trusted. You've heard of it, right?
Hey guys, I have a couple questions for you. If they had Wi-Fi and internet during the Holocaust, would you have recognized that it was a genocide if you lived in the country that was perpetrating the genocide? So if you'd been a German citizen with Wi-Fi and internet access, would you have been able to recognize that the actions taken by your government were genocidal in nature? Now that you've answered that question for yourself, and I'm going to ask you another question now. If you believe that your government was committing genocide, but not telling people about it and even lying to people about it, would you be quiet? Or would you make sure that people knew what was going on?
And as you can see, there are thousands of boxes and crates with food and medicine behind me. Yet none of these have been delivered to the people of Gaza, who are still suffering and starving. How is this possible? Well, the world continues to blame Israel for this, when in reality, Israel is doing everything in its power to actually get this food delivered to the Palestinian people. But it's Hamas and the UN who are complicit in the suffering and starvation of the people of Gaza. Some of these crates have been here for weeks, if not months. We have
First of all, you have to understand that in Israel, what people see and what people hear is completely different. People live in a bubble. Now, they can come out of that bubble if they want to, but they usually don't choose to. So in Israel, when you talk about starvation, what you're saying is Hamas has succeeded in its hunger propaganda. Why is Israeli propaganda failing? Why is the Hasbara failing? Although we showed all those pictures showing that these were kids who had pre-existing conditions, still the world believes the Hamas propaganda. Hamas are much better at that than us. That's the way people understand it in Israel. Now, of course, there are people...
I'm sorry, I have to ask you about that. Is that because they actually don't believe that starvation is happening and they just are buying into the idea that it's all a Hamas production? Or are they indifferent to the starvation and they just want to beat Hamas in the messaging game?
Both, and another one. That they're not just indifferent. So that's one of the interesting things in Israel right now. If you look at opinion polls, most people want the war, as they call it, to end. They want to get rid of this government. They want to return the hostages. And most people would like to see Gaza ethnically cleansed. So people are not only indifferent to it and not only buy into Israeli propaganda, they also, in a sense, are bloody-minded. They actually want this to happen.
Okay, pause. That was a pretty general statement. Let's take a moment to talk about Israel and the people who live there, particularly the Jewish people and the Zionist people. So today, many people use the term Zionist to convey hate against the Jewish people, citing a need for education on the history of this word and its context. Does being anti-Zionist automatically make you anti-Semitic? Well, that depends on what you think the word Zionist means. To many people, it means extremists, not just people who believe in self-determination, because let's be real, that should literally be a given. Everyone wants self-determination. You can be a Zionist and not be okay with what's happening in Gaza. That doesn't make you anti-Zionist. It doesn't make you anti-Semitic, and it does not make you anti-Israel. It makes you anti-hurting innocent people. My public service announcement here is that intense hate and extreme action is generally wrong. So regardless of your political beliefs, you must, as an individual, remember that the group you oppose is human too.
I met my first Palestinian when I was 47 years old. I never thought about them. I was brainwashed from a very early age not to see them.
When we meet each other, we meet as enemies.
I lost my daughter because of him, and he lost his daughter because of me.
But when we start to talk, directly he discovered my humanity, and we could discover that we share the same values.
The very fact that we are friends, that we are calling each other brothers, creates a crack in this wall. We have all the right to take revenge, but revenge will not bring us back our daughters. Revenge will not ease the pain that we are carrying.
The enemy have no human face.
This very appearance of us together is an earthquake.
We can survive without killing each other.
We, who have paid the highest price possible, we have the moral authority to tell to our both nations that sinking down in this mud will not take us any solution. And the only way out is our example. Only on the darkest of nights you can see the stars shine. We are the stars.
טפלו בי, טפלו בנו! חיל עכשיו יוצא מעזה! אני ילד בן 21 והחלום הכי טוב שלי עם 6 נוסעים לקבל כדור בין העיניים. תקופה מהלכת. אני אדם שלא חי. רגע, רוצה לשאול לך שאלה, אני גם הלום קרב מחרבות ברזל. גולני, אתה יודע מה זה להרים גופות של חברים שלך שלפני רגע ישנת איתם, אכלת איתם מנקים, ישנת איתם ועשית איתם טירונות ורגע החיים מתפוצצים לך מול העיניים? אני באתי 23 חברים. לפני 3 ימים התאבד לנו חייל. אני לפני כמה חודשים הזרקתי לעצמי 3 גרם פנטניל לווריד כי לא יכולתי לסבול יותר. לא יכולתי לראות, אני לא יכול. אני רואה גופות מול העיניים עכשיו שאני יושב פה בלילה, אני רואה גופות כמו שאני רואה אותך עכשיו. אני רואה את חברים שלי מתפוצצים לי מול העיניים, זיהו את חברים שלי רק על את השיניים שלהם זיהו. אני שהגעתי לפסיכיאטר חצי שעה של אבחון, דחף לי 15 כדורים פסיכיאטריים שהולכים יחד עם סוס. טפלו בי! למה אני אמור לצעוק את זה? למה אני אמור לצפות את כל זה? למה אני אמור לנסות להתאבד כל יום? אני נלחם למען המדינה המחורבנת הזאת! טפלו בי, טפלו בנו! חיל עכשיו יוצא מעזה!
So don't start attacking innocent people on the streets just because they're Jewish, Palestinian, or anything else you happen not to vibe with. Before we go any further with our story, I want to say that I believe that while ugly, war can be acted out with honor. Honor does not include treating human beings in ways that a reasonable person would find unconscionable. For example, the occupying nation can take over another one without things like rape, torture, or displacing innocent civilians from their homes. Or it can do all those things and act like exterminators, like the Nazis. Here is a list of most recent International Court of Justice findings as of the making of this video. As I'm putting in the audio, I did, however, discover an additional report that on the 16th of September, it was decided that there was genocide happening in Gaza. So all of these recent reports were why legal observation vessels sailed with the flotilla to bear witness.
Hi everybody, I've gone live at such a strange hour because we were woken up and informed not long ago that a large Navy vessel has left a port in Israel. I'm still trying to ascertain exactly which one, and is now dispatched and on its way towards us. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take to arrive.
My name is Yasmin Ajar, steering committee member of the Global Sumud Flotilla. We are currently on the Alma in international waters, 150 nautical miles away from the shores of Gaza. At approximately 3:18 a.m., we had a big vessel right behind me approaching. It just appeared out of nowhere. And we have more vessels that we can see that do not belong to the flotilla appearing more and more. We have up to 20 drones above us currently, and it seems that this...
Okay, let me recap. It's 4:43 in the morning where we are. Middle of the night, well, early in the morning, and we've just been informed that two of the larger boats that were spotted near the lead boat of the flotilla, Alma.
Hey, so to stay updated on this story yourself, there's a lot of live streams on Instagram and on YouTube. I'll be putting major updates as I become aware of them here. What's currently happening is the flotilla has reached a critical point and Israel has sent out ships, but those ships didn't intercept them. They just kind of went and watched and then left. So the flotilla doesn't know if this is part of a wider strategy to intercept them.
Behind me is the military vessel. They are intercepting us right now. We do not know how they will intercept us. I can currently only see one big military vessel. They have their lights off. We are in position right now. We're telling everyone to put their life vests on. Again, we are a non-violent mission. We carry nothing but humanitarian aid. We are hundreds of activists from around the world. We are almost 50 vessels, and we are being currently intercepted.
I have to tell you, I don't really know what's going on. None of us does. Let me just flip it for you again. So, there. You can see. So there, we're kind of, the engine's going and we're moving, but we're kind of skirting the parameters of where our boats are.
We were just surrounded by military vessels circling around us. Apparently there was a submarine as well, turned its lights on. I think it was more of an intimidation thing. They didn't look like they were trying to board, but it's definitely pretty scary. They had like big old guns on the boat, big cannons and that. They've kept us up most of the night with these sort of little circling our boats and trying to scare us and that. So.
I'm going to do my absolute best to fight through fatigue and update you all on where we are after last night's eventful turn. So, the headline is, none of our boats have been intercepted. Not a single one. All of the military vessels that we saw encircling us between about 3:30 and 7 a.m. local time this morning retreated.
Hey everyone, this is Bisan from Gaza and these are the updates. Today the Israeli army officially cut the way between the north and the south of Gaza Strip, isolating Gaza City from the whole world. Yes, because Rashid Street, the one that the Israeli army blocked today from anyone moving from the south or the middle to the north, is the only street that connects all areas of Gaza Strip. And during the past 2 weeks, after the Israeli army
We broke into Gaza today, successfully. Just a few days left, you're very close.
Inshallah, we think that maybe 5 days. Depending on the weather, 5 days. Yeah.
Actually, as you're approaching from the sea, we are currently on the way to the Gaza border by land. We will attempt to do the same thing, but from the other side. We're attempting to do the same by land. Here's the Gaza border, and with a large contingent of activists, we're going to try to lift the siege, I guess.
חבר'ה, אומר לכם לעצור!
Hey, what are you doing to him?
למה אתה עובר פה?
לא אותו.
תיקח אותו, אל תגיד אותו.
די להשמדה! די להשמדה! די להשמדה!
The soldiers attacked us immediately, hurt a bunch of us. I possibly sprained my wrist. But of course, what they're doing to us and to the international activists are nothing compared to what they're doing to the Palestinians. And it is our responsibility, and it is your responsibility, to do everything in our power to break the siege and in order to end Israeli apartheid and the system of subjugation.
I'm Thiago Avila from the steering committee of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Our non-violent humanitarian solidarity action to break the siege of Gaza and to create a people's humanitarian corridor is now 118 nautical miles away from Gaza, which means that we passed the milestone of 150 nautical miles where we heard Israeli media saying that we will be intercepted by military vessels. We actually had an encounter with an Israeli military vessel that made an intimidatory attack and a cyber attack on our boat. He was...
Hey, thank you for following and watching. I wanted to share some important facts about this historical event that we're witnessing. This mission is humanitarian in nature. That means there's no weapons on board those ships. In fact, all of their participants have been trained in nonviolence, even in the case of being intercepted by Israel. It's actually illegal for Israel to intercept them because they're a humanitarian vessel. In times of war, the occupying nation has not only a moral, but a literal.
We are preparing, unfortunately, for an illegal kidnapping of our flotilla in international waters. We are lights have gone out, and they're going to have to stay that way. Bear with me.
Active war zone. If you could and attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court. You bear full responsibility for your actions.
Say that we are entering an active war zone, you're saying that we are entering a place where we are committing war crimes. This is against international law. Once again, the International Court of Justice made a provisional ruling that any attempt to hinder a humanitarian mission to Gaza.
If you're watching.
My name is Tumbe. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law. Please tell my government to demand my and the others' immediate release.
Hard to give you a sense of how big and imposing it is. It's coming round my side now.
What are we doing? Hands up.
Hands up, hands up.
Hands up, everybody. Can you put your fucking hands up, please? Hands up, every last person. This video, it means that I have been kidnapped by Israel. My name is Kieran Andrew with Navarra Media. I decided to sail with the Global Sumud Flotilla to report on this unprecedented attempt by people from 44 different countries to break Israel's illegal and genocidal siege of Gaza. I also have my own motivations for wanting to be here.
The flotilla is insanity. It shouldn't exist. It is absolute madness that everyday civilians who have, for the most part, no training in making a 3,000-kilometer journey across the Mediterranean, in delivering aid, in coming across a superpower that are armed to the teeth. This is not the job of everyday people. This was the job of governments. This was the job of the United Nations. This was the last resort that everyday people had to step up and attempt to break a siege. This should have never happened. But to many people, they've spent the last 2 years or longer on their social media, making as much attention as they can to this genocide and the occupation. They've spent as much energy as they can on the streets, protesting. They've spent all of their money to avoid products so that they could boycott, divest. For many people, this was the natural next step. The flotilla was effectively the only form of direct action. It's one thing to say, hey, my values are I really care about Palestine. It's another thing to say, hey, I'm actually going to Gaza. And I think that for many people, this was the last resort. They'd had enough and they felt hopeless and they felt helpless. And this represented hope.
38 of the ships are still on their way to provide humanitarian aid to Gaza. They don't have any weapons on board, and all of the participants have been trained in nonviolence. So even if they are boarded and intercepted, they'll be responding with nonviolence. Several of the ships have already been intercepted. Several of the participants have already been detained. So I will be covering the rest of this as it unfolds all the way to the shores of Gaza, and if possible I will do my best to show you exactly what's happening there, because the news is not going to show it to you. I've been waiting to see it on the news and I haven't seen it.
Breaking right now, activists aboard a Gaza-bound aid flotilla say the Israeli Navy is intercepting their vessels. This is video from Global Sumud Flotilla. First, you see the crews on the deck wearing life vests. In another video, the deck is empty. Our Suzanne Lehman-Yo spoke to a Central Illinois woman who is on a boat in the flotilla. She joins us now live from the newsroom with the very latest on this. Suzanne, good afternoon.
Chris, there are nearly 50 boats among the flotilla, and Marine Corps veteran Jessica Clotfelter from Windsor, Illinois, is on a boat with other military veterans. And she, along with the organizer of the veterans delegation, spoke with me on Zoom. It was quite a shaky connection. And this happened about an hour before the Israeli Navy intercepted that flotilla.
So I have a really exciting update for you guys. I just heard that the boat at the very front of the flotilla is the one headed by United States veterans.
We have this weird ship following us. Very fast.
Are we just racing the barge now?
We're racing the barge.
Barge race.
We're in a barge race. We checked the lead, so now the barge is racing us.
I was raised to love my country. I was taught to be polite.
So we're just racing the prison barge.
We're racing the prison barge right now. To Gaza. To Gaza.
Just kind of in a race with the Israeli barge while this beautiful song plays.
We're racing the prison barge. We're racing the prison barge. To Gaza.
Well, goddamn, I wanna hell, may it burn for eternity. May the bullets jam the guns, all the soldiers go free. And if the liars come knocking, just feel free to slam the door and shout it out. Goddamn the war! I say some more. Every time I stand in front of these fucking
This is the most savage moment I have ever seen on one of the flotilla members while Israelis attacking them. This is savage. Since we're all sharing these moments of them attacking them, this is the mode and the vibe that all of them. By the way, they're not the only ones who are having this vibe. Every single flotilla crew member is having this beautiful vibe. Why? Because they know they're standing at the right side. Bye, Keisha, Shanikoa, anti-Semitic.
Jessica Clotfelter was once on the security detail for Presidential Helicopter Squadron Marine 1. Today, she spoke to us while aboard the Oela, which is part of the flotilla in the Mediterranean Sea right now. At the time of our Zoom, she and United States Army Ranger veteran Greg Stoker were about 90 nautical miles from Gaza, with about 12 Israeli naval vessels in sight. This picture was taken by Jessica as an Israeli naval vessel approached their boat, shining a large spotlight.
Are you afraid, Jessica?
The fear's there, but if I talk to it, I understand why it's there, trying to keep us safe, and I try to make friends with it. But this is something that we train for and practice in our own exercises for the last month.
Clotfelter and her fellow veterans have been at sea for more than a month. They say they're carrying humanitarian aid and they want to deliver it to Gaza, even though Israeli officials have said anyone trying to enter Gaza will be taken into custody.
The images that have been coming out of Gaza for the last 2 years, and they're heartbreaking. They're gut-wrenching. I mean, I've cried probably every single day on this boat as the violence since we've taken off on 31 August has escalated.
Well, we received an update from Clotfelter's attorney here in Chicago just a short time ago, and she told us Jessica's boat has not been boarded, but the spotlight has been kept on them as other larger vessels in the flotilla have been boarded. In the newsroom, Suzanne Lemonnier, CBS News, Chicago.
We'll keep an eye on this one. Suzanne, thank you.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute to explain how incredibly lucky and privileged we are that we as Americans can say anything we want about our government, and that is protected by the Constitution. Other countries are not like this. You could get arrested simply for talking about this in some countries. And so in the United States, we, as a people, our history has been one of revolutionists. And so these U.S. veterans that are on this boat, they've got that energy with them. They're going and they're doing something that they believe to be right because it's a human issue, not necessarily a political one. And I'm so happy that I live in a country that allows us to speak freely.
Today I'm going to refuse to enlist to the IDF because the IDF is committing genocide in Gaza and I must oppose his horrible crimes. I'm going to be in prison for some time because of my refusal, but I'm absolutely certain that this is the right thing to do.
I'm refusing because I can't be a part of a system which rules the occupied territories, which rules the West Bank, and I can't be a part of the war taking part in Gaza. I can't legitimize the misery caused to so many people, to Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank.
But overall in society, as you can see here, this is a very niche and unwelcome position to hold. People view me as a traitor, as an enemy, as a disgusting leftist who will ruin us. But overall, I don't care what people who support the starving of children have to say about my morality.
Are you staying silent too, while people are harmed but far away from you?
Here on the civilian boat Conscience, sailing the Mediterranean. We are over 90 civilians, dozens of medics and media workers. As we are speaking, our colleagues, our friends, our comrades are being attacked by Israeli forces. They are civilian vessels carrying nothing but themselves, humanitarian aid and solidarity, trying to reach the besieged people of Gaza. Israel has put Gaza under an illegal blockade. Israel has engineered a famine, and Israel is on trial for genocide, and our countries are not intervening. And so we civilians are on the high seas trying to reach the people of Gaza to stop this genocide, to break the blockade, and our governments are not doing anything as Israel right now is attacking our colleagues. But they
So it's about destruction of evidence, creating a blackout, and intimidating other journalists and every single person in Gaza, telling them that no one is safe. We can reach anyone. If Israel can kill the most prominent journalist in Gaza right now, the one
الله يرحمك ويتقبلك يا رب. عصفورة في الجنة بتستناك. والله ما علي. عصفورة في الجنة بتستناك. قوم. صفوري يا رب تعورك صرت عاقب هذا يا رب. اقف وحدة الله يا حسن. وحدة الله يا حسن. قوم حسن. يا
So here's your update on the situation. All of the boats have been intercepted and the participants have been detained, and they should be deported relatively quickly. So why am I smiling? I'm smiling because there are actually another flotilla heading there right now. And in addition to that, there's another boat called the Conscious that has 90 medics, participants that are continuing this. I've also heard, but this is unverified, that Turkey is sending boats. Unverified. Turkey has made statements about what Israel is doing, but once again, that's unverified. So why am I smiling? I'm smiling because we now have world attention on a big humanitarian issue that the majority of Americans, for one, literally didn't even know about. So I'm really happy that this has your American attention. You are so powerful and you don't even understand. So the International Court has already made several rulings against Israel. So why hasn't anything happened? Well, the International Court doesn't actually have enforcement power. The UN Security Council does. And guess who sits on the UN Security Council? The United States. But the United States is Israel's ally. So do you think we're going to vote against our ally? No, we're not going to vote against our ally. That's not going to happen. Even though a court has ruled that there are some pretty serious issues that sound a lot like the genocide word. So the reason why the rest of the world literally hates us is because they see our silence. They see us not pressuring President Trump. And they see that as we agree with what Israel's doing. So why is the rest of the world holding you as an individual responsible for the actions of your government? Well, we're being held responsible because we have power of freedom of speech. This means that we're not going to be thrown in prison. We're not going to be held and tortured and detained. Our families aren't going to be thrown in prison if we go and tell President Trump, hey, I heard about what's happening in Gaza. I don't like it. I want you to put pressure on Israel to stop doing what they're doing and to take different actions. We can say that without any fear, which is why we are being held responsible by the rest of the world. As individuals, we have this power. That's why. So if you see something that's wrong and you can say something without fear, but you don't, then you're responsible for that thing continuing. So I know that there's some of you out there who believe that, like, yeah, I don't have to say anything. Not saying anything, that doesn't make me responsible. I just didn't say anything. I'm a parent of 2 small children. If I don't say something, one of them is gonna die sometimes because they're kids. So if you have the power to say something and what you say can make a big difference, but you don't, you are responsible. You are responsible. And you as an individual have a lot of power. I mean, if you're watching this, how many other people do you think have watched this? How many people do you think have shared this? How many people do you think have said this on their stories? You have power. Use it. Let's talk about that last slide. So, if you're watching this and you're thinking someone is going to step in, someone will say something, some country will step in, this is not my circus, I care about this, it's wrong, but someone else will step in. Well, everyone else is someone else who thinks someone else is going to step in. And if everyone is thinking someone else is going to step in, do you think anyone will step in? Or are we all just going to stare at our phones? Because that's what everyone else is doing. Human psychology, when we're in a crowd, and being online is like being in a crowd, we will refer to the crowd. Not what we think, not what we believe, not what we stand for. We will refer to what everyone else is doing. So if you don't like what's happening, don't think that someone else is going to take action, because you yourself are someone else.
From Gaza Beach to Flotilla Sumud, we are here. You can't come here in Gaza, but your message here. We received everything, your love, your support, especially your humanity. This war not with us, but you are here with us. I can't find any word to say what we are feel. Yani, at least we have hope now. If you come again and again, they are today blocked you to come here, but tomorrow they are can't. We all love you. From Gaza Beach to you guys.
So yeah, we've got a Navy ship just off our port. It's been there for about 5 minutes. It hasn't closed so far. Well, it's slowly closing, not heading straight for us at this stage. But clearly it's making preparations to do so. There's no other reason it's there.
From the sea to Gaza, we will not forget you. We will not let you to be forgotten. This is the voice of humanity. No one can stop the voice of humanity. Free, free Palestine! Coming. Illegal. Everybody sit down, nobody move, hands up in the air. We're coming on board, nobody move. Hands in the air. Everybody close their eyes.
Hello, Freedom Flotilla. The occupation may have prevented you from reaching here, but it couldn't stop you from reaching the hearts of the people of Gaza. And to those who are trying again, we are still waiting for you. Jihad Abu Shammala.
Hey folks, critical update for everybody who's waiting to hear what has happened to the participants who were on board those flotillas. So this update is for Friday, October 3rd, and this update came about 7:30 Gaza time. So out of the 462 participants who were illegally detained by Israel, Adalah lawyers have met with 331 of them. Now this meeting happened at Ashdod port, and lawyers did not have access to their participants until hours after many of the hearings and many of the participants already started going through legal proceedings, which is illegal. Now, the flotilla participants are in relatively stable condition. Now, after being kidnapped, these participants were forced to kneel for up to 5 hours with their hands being zip-tied behind their backs. Now, many of you have already seen footage of Itamar Ben-Gvir taking a visit to the participants and calling them all terrorists. Now, let me remind you, everything that is going on with these participants, everything that these citizens from all over the world are dealing with is illegal, from the interception to what they're currently being dealt with right now. In addition to being illegally kidnapped off of international waters, these folks were denied access to water and food and medications. And they were also denied access to lawyers, which violated their basic due process. The lawyers were left waiting outside of Ashdod port for 9 hours as Israel illegally began doing the hearing process without them. The only reason the lawyers found out about it is because the detainees eventually were able to call them. Eventually, the lawyers did get access and managed to console about 331 of the participants so far. For those who want to stay up to date with the legal process and follow Adalah as they help these participants, I will put the link on my page so you can keep up. Now, organizers did receive a call from Italy notifying them that the Italian parliamentarians have already been sent home, so that's good news. But I want to remind everybody again about the illegality of all of these actions. It's not only the fact that they illegally kidnapped these people on international water when they're trying to deliver humanitarian aid. It's also the fact that they're violating their due process and barely getting them access to lawyers and continuing tribunal hearings without lawyers present. This type of behavior and these type of actions is nothing new for Palestinians. Palestinians often face tribunal charges and hearings and detentions without any due process and without charge and without their lawyers present, without their families present. So this is a microcosm, like a microscopic view of what Palestinian life is in the Israeli prison system. Thank you for following along, and I'll do my best to keep you all updated.
All of the stories from Reuters, the BBC, and all the Western media miss one critical, important point, that the interception by Israel is illegal under international law. By maritime policy, Israel's actions are a form of piracy. See, there is nothing illegal about a flotilla mission making its way to Gaza, but it is highly illegal for Israel to intercept, detain, kidnap hundreds of participants against their will in international waters where Israel have absolutely no jurisdiction.
Trump just ordered Netanyahu to stop bombing Gaza immediately. Hamas shocked observers by announcing its readiness to release all remaining Israeli hostages, both living and dead, under the exchange formula outlined in the Trump plan. At the same time, Hamas made clear Gaza's future must be decided by a Palestinian-led administration, rejecting any attempt at foreign-imposed rule. President Trump declared Hamas was ready for lasting peace and demanded Israel halt its bombing to allow hostages to be released safely. Qatar and Egypt welcomed Hamas's response and moved to begin negotiations. France called it an opportunity for decisive progress toward peace, while the UN praised the mediators for breaking the deadlock. Minutes after Trump's statement, violent raids swept across Gaza. At least 10 airstrikes tore through the Al-Sabra neighborhood, fires spread, and displaced civilians filled the streets with nowhere left to go. Inside Israel, media outlets erupted in anger. Channel 12 called Trump's demand crazy. Channel 11 admitted it was a tactical Arab victory that damaged Israel's reputation. For the first time since the war began, Washington refused to negotiate under fire, leaving Netanyahu politically cornered. World leaders welcomed Hamas' response as a path to peace. Now the question is, will Trump stand with Netanyahu and Israel's war machine, or choose the path of real and lasting peace? Let's see where this moment leads. Share your thoughts in the comments and follow Map Narratives for clear, map-driven insights into the world's unfolding conflicts.
لا اله الا الله.
تعال يا عبد الله معي.
تعال في ناس في الشارع. هيا هناك مولعه. تعال هناك. بالله.
אלה הטרוריסטים של המשט, אלה הטרוריסטים, די טרוריסט. תקל עליהם. תומכי רוצחים, אגב, האוניות שלהם נמצאו קרחנה שלמה. הם לא באו באמת, לא למשט, לא לעזור, אלא הם באו בעד עזה, בעד הטרוריסטים. אלה טרוריסטים. הם תומכי טרור.
מה זה פה?
זה הספינה שלהם. המפכ"ל בדיוק מראה לי את זה, יחד עם מפקד מחוז דרום. מחפשים כאן סיוע הומניטרי. יש כאן מטרנה אחד.
מה זה סיוע הומניטרי? אני לא רואה פה שום דבר.
יש כאן מטרנה אחד, לפי מה שהמפכ"ל אומר, ונראה כל חינגה אחת גדולה. איזה חינגה יש כאן? לא סיוע ולא הומניטרי.
We are the healthcare workers on board the Conscience on our way to Gaza. We woke up this morning to find that one of our colleagues from MSF has been killed in Gaza. He is Omar Hayek is his name, and he will not be forgotten by us. Neither will the 13 who were killed before him be forgotten. We are bringing symbolically and physically aid and hope and courage to our colleagues who remain in Gaza. I am going to now hand over to the leader of our group, Dr. Fazia.
We, the healthcare workers on the board of the Conscience, demand the world to give us the safe passage as the Geneva Convention gave protection to all the healthcare workers of the world in whatever circumstances, even in Gaza when the genocide is raging on.
Free.
Palestine!
Free.
Palestine!
Are you staying silent too, while people are harmed but far away from you? Are you staying silent too, while people are harmed but far away from you?
1, 2, 3, in our lifetime we will be free. One day and the light shines, we will be free. In our lifetime we will be free. And they can bury us, but they will find out where our seeds.
There's a theologian who said, I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. And God is screaming at all of us in Gaza as we speak. Israel has a right to exist and a right to defend itself just like any nation. But Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't have the right to wage war against civilians, to use famine and collective punishment as tactics. So to answer your question, as a U.S. Senator, I will use the financial and diplomatic leverage in this country to stop the atrocities and the suffering in Gaza. It's also for the people of Israel, because Benjamin Netanyahu's disastrous war has made the people of Israel and Jewish people all over the world less safe as a result. And to answer your last question, no, I will not be accepting money from AIPAC in this race.
Hi, this is Tamara, the creator of this film. Everything you saw in this video was seen by me through live stream by people who were there firsthand. Right as I was about to post this video, I went online and I discovered another update about the flotilla. There is now 11 boats in the second wave. Israel has released some of the detainees. However, one of the detainees has claimed that Greta Thunberg was dragged by her hair, beaten, and forced to kiss an Israeli flag. All things that the Nazis did in Germany. An international court of justice has already made several rulings on this issue. As of September 16th, 2025, the United Nations, under the question of Palestine and a commission of inquiry, Israeli authorities and Israeli security forces have committed and are continuing to commit genocide against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Human Rights Council, 60th Session, Legal Analysis of the Conduct of Israel in Gaza pursuant to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. The Commission's analysis in this report relates solely to the determination of genocide under the Genocide Convention as it relates to the responsibility of the State of Israel both for the failure to prevent genocide, for committing genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza since October 2023. The Commission also notes that while its analysis is limited to the Palestinians specifically in Gaza during the period since the 7th of October 2023, it nevertheless raises the serious concern that the specific intent to destroy the Palestinians as a whole has extended to the rest of the occupied Palestinian territory, that is the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, based on Israeli authorities and Israeli security forces' actions therein. And to the period before the 7th of October 2023, the events in Gaza since that time have not occurred in isolation. As the Commission has noted, they were preceded by decades of unlawful occupation, repression under an ideology requiring the removal of Palestinian population from their land and its replacement. The Commission concludes on reasonable grounds that the Israeli authorities and Israeli security forces have committed and are continuing to commit the following actus reus of genocide against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, namely the killing of the group, causing serious bodily injury, mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction, in whole or in part imposing measures intended to prevent births. On incitement of genocide, the Commission concludes that Israeli President, the Prime Minister, and the Defense Minister have incited the commission of genocide, and that the Israeli authorities have failed to take action against them. This commission has not fully assessed statements by other Israeli political and military leaders, including Minister for National Security, Minister for Finance, and considers that they too should be assessed. This document goes on to state more about their findings. I encourage you to read it. At the very end of the document, the Commission recommends that all of the member states employ all means reasonably available to them to prevent the commission of genocide in the Gaza Strip. And they are also to investigate and prosecute those who may be implicated in these crimes under international law. They are to facilitate these investigations and cooperate with the investigation of the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. The Commission also recommends that the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court examine this continuing situation in Palestine for the crime of genocide and to issue arrest warrants where needed, and to examine the involvement of officials mentioned in this report for inclusion as those most responsible for the international crimes committed in the occupied Palestinian territory. Are you staying silent too while people are starved far away from you? Are you staying silent too while people are harmed but far away from you? Mm-hmm.